The fluorescent lights hummed like dying insects overhead, casting a sickly glow over the empty dining area. Stacy wiped down the last sticky table. Her reflection walked in the darkened windows. This McDonald's had always felt off-built on the ruins of some 1980s office where rumors whispered of suicides and sealed off rooms. She'd laughed at the stories, until tonight. A metallic clang echoed from the kitchen. Not the usual pop of fryer grease, but something heavier, like a body hitting the walk-in freezer. Her phone buzzed. Ryan's text, 10 minutes away. But when she looked up, a shadow flickered past the drive-through window. Too tall, too still. The security monitor fizzed with static, and for 3 heartbeats, she saw a figure slumped in booth 7, its head lolling at an impossible angle. Then the screen reset, empty. Ryan arrived to find her trembling by the back door. "You okay?" he asked, but his voice sounded distant. The dumpster lid was dented inward, as if a car had crashed onto it. No blood, no footprints, just the stench of rotting meat and something sweet beneath it, like spoiled milkshakes. Then the whispers started, garbled words in the wind, almost like a drive-through intercom left on. Order 666. Inside, the fryers roared to life unbidden, oil bubbling black. The temperature plummeted. Ryan backed toward the exit, but the door slammed shut. Behind them, a stool screeched across the tile, in the reflection of the soda machine. Stacy saw it, a gaunt man in a stained McDonald's uniform. His name tag reading, Kevin, Employee of the Month, 1992. His mouth unhinged like a broken Happy Meal toy. They fled to the parking lot, but Ryan froze, pointing at the roof. Something's up there. Against the moon, a silhouette crouched, long limbs folded like a spider. It leaped, landing on Ryan's car with a crunch. The windshield cracked in a spiderweb pattern, but there was nothing there. Just a child's handprint in the frost, tiny and perfect. As they peeled away, Stacy glanced back. In the glowing M of the sign, a figure waved. Not goodbye, a summons, because tomorrow was her shift again. And the restaurant remembered who stayed past closing. The costume smelled like old grease and something metallic when Michelle pulled it from the storage locker. She hated playing Ronald McDonald, but the overtime pay kept the lights on. As she glued the red wig to her scalp, 7-year-old Isabel squealed from the dining area. Already clutching a Happy Meal toy from him, Kevin, the usual performer. His version of Ronald never quite looked right, the smile too wide, the white face paint cracking at the edges like old porcelain. When the cake was served, Michelle noticed Isabel whispering to Kevin. His gloved hand lingered on her shoulder too long, fingers denting the fabric of her dress. Then the screaming started, not from the party, but from the alley. Michelle found Isabel by the dumpster, her dress splattered with red. Kevin stood over her, palms dripping. "Raccoon," he said, his voice flat. But the animal's corpse twitched as if something was still inside it. The manager forced Michelle to apologize. Kevin just smiled, the same empty grin he wore every day, even off shift. That night, as she scrunched ketchup off tables, she saw him through the kitchen porthole. He wasn't moving, wasn't blinking, just staring at his reflection in the fryer oil, whispering. When she crept closer, the oil showed 2 faces, Kevin's, and something beneath it, its pupils swallowing the light. Next morning, Kevin was gone. Only the costume remained, folded neatly in the break room. The wig bristled when she touched it. The gloves, still damp, left red streaks on her skin that wouldn't wash off. Isabel hadn't stopped smiling since the party. Not when she sleepwalked to the fridge to gnaw raw patties. Not when she carved clown faces into her dolls with butter knives. The pediatrician called it trauma. But Michelle knew she'd seen the way Isabel's new imaginary friend made her giggle at empty corners. The way her teeth were getting sharper. On Isabel's 8th birthday, Michelle awoke to rustling. There, in the moonlight, stood her daughter, clad in a miniature Ronald costume, its gloves fused to her fingers. "Mummy," she lisped through a mouthful of needle teeth, "Kevin says it's my turn to play." Behind her, the closet door creaked open, revealing rows of identical red wigs hanging like scalps. The trees stood unnaturally still that night, their branches frozen like skeletal fingers against a moonlit sky. Luis and I were closing up the McDonald's, the usual routine of wiping counters and mopping floors, when we first heard a heavy thud against the dumpster out back, loud enough to make the soda machine rattle. We exchanged glances. No wind, no animals. Just that deafening impact, like something massive had dropped from the tree line. I grabbed a flashlight, the beam cutting through the thick darkness as we stepped into the parking lot. The dumpster lid was caved in, the metal twisted inward as if crushed by tremendous weight. No footprints in the gravel. No explanation. Then the whispering started, not from any direction, but from everywhere at once. A chorus of garbled voices, overlapping like a corrupted drive-through speaker. "Order up, ... order up, ... Luce's face went pale. "We should call the cops," he muttered, but we both knew they wouldn't believe us. Back inside, the restaurant felt different. The fryers, turned off hours ago, suddenly hissed to life, oil bubbling violently as black smoke coiled toward the ceiling. The security monitors flickered, showing glimpses of the dining room, empty, then not. A figure stood in the corner, its limbs too long, its head tilted at an unnatural angle, then static. When the screens cleared, it was gone. We bolted for the car, the night air thick with the smell of wet earth and something sour, like spoiled meat. Just as I turned the key, Louise screamed. On the roof, something shifted, shadow darker than the surrounding darkness, hunched and waiting. The car rocked as it leaped off, landing somewhere in the trees with a rustling thud. We didn't look back. The next morning, the manager found claw marks raked across the front door. Deep, deliberate grooves, as if something had tested the lock. And on the employee whiteboard, written in shaky, childlike letters, "We're still hungry."